Know the difference with ANNEX Wealth Management. Joe Martin is a wealth strategist and an estate planning attorney at ANNEX and is back. Welcome.
Thanks.
You want to do your loved ones a favor? Have your estate planning documents in good order. Spare them the hours that it could take to track this stuff down. Got a 10-point list. There's a lot to go over, so we're going to go over pretty quick with Jill. First on the list, the classic, the last will and testament.
Absolutely. You know, everyone should have one of these, even if you have $1,000 to your name when you pass away. We still need some instructions on where that stuff is going to go, and the last will is kind of that first place that people look at.
Next up, revocable living trust. Now, is that for everybody?
A revocable living trust is for a lot of people because what happens is you rely on that last will to dispose of your assets. We're going to end up in probate court. So we use revocable trusts or living trusts to help try and bypass the probate process to distribute assets. So it's really a great technique for anybody. It doesn't have to be that you're only the ultra high net worth or the really, really rich and famous that need a trust.
Here's one that's incredibly important. Make sure your beneficiary designations are who you want them to be.
Oh, this is a great one because what happens is so many times we see that people don't understand that just because my will says I leave something to my 3 kids, your beneficiary designations override your last will or your revocable living trust. So you want to make sure that everything's aligned. This really comes into play with second marriages, things like that, where it can kind of get dicey if you forgot about that old 401k plan.
Classic story, the ex-wife.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
There you go. Next up, the Advanced Healthcare Directive / living will. Is that the same thing as a healthcare power of attorney?
Yes. So they're called different things depending on which state you're located in and whichever statute governs it. A healthcare power of attorney advanced directive is where you're naming someone to make your healthcare decisions when you can't. A living will or a declaration to healthcare providers is something where you're checking some boxes to tell them exactly what you want to have happen if there isn't someone that can make those decisions for you. So it's a little different.
Many times when somebody goes into an assisted living facility,
they're
that's
required
for sure.
to have those.
There you go.
Absolutely.
We're with Joe Martin, wealth strategist and estate planning attorney. The 10 things to have in order with your estate plan. Financial power of attorney is next.
That's a big one, right? So what happens is any financial institution is not just going to talk to your spouse or to your kids because they're your kids. There needs to be a legal document that protects the financial institution, but also gives those children the authority to transact on your behalf.
Possibly overlooked, but very important, insurance policies and financial information, of course, right?
Yeah, and we're not just talking life insurance, right? A lot of people think estate planning and we're thinking life insurance, but it's also your homeowner's insurance, your umbrella policy,
all that.
Your health insurance, right? People need to know where that stuff is, right? Everybody has that annual Medicare renewal that they come through with their supplemental insurance. If all of a sudden you're not able to do that, you need to have your family members know where that is and how to proceed.
This one was a little bit of a surprise. Proof of identity documents.
It's second nature. We just assume that we can prove our identity. But a lot of times stuff gets lost as we get older. Where was that birth certificate? We don't necessarily know. That marriage certificate or that divorce decree, right? A driver's license. If we don't drive anymore, do we still have a state-issued ID? It's important to have all that stuff, including the Social Security card.
Here's another one that might be easy to miss. Titles and property deeds in order.
Yeah, so this one kind of goes to those beneficiary designations and how we have assets titled. It helps make sure that we know exactly what's going to happen on those properties when you pass away. Similar to that beneficiary designation, or if you own something jointly with someone else, those can override that last will or that trust. So it can be unintended if we don't know what those are.
Here's a modern age one, and this is really important. Digital account logins and passwords.
Yeah. So, there's all sorts of things out there where you can set up legacy instructions, like who can take over your online account after you pass away, those types of things. But back when I did estate settlement, exclusively, right? You'd forward the mail. And guess what? As the executor, I could see all the mail that person was getting. I knew what bills they were having, right? Think about it today. How many of us get all of our bills in an email? And if somebody all of a sudden passes away, if we don't know the password to their email address, how are we ever going to know what bills are out there? Having information about what's your email addresses, what are your passwords, but then also all of the financial accounts that you get all of your information electronically, exclusively through, we need to know where that is.
And the 10th, our final one, funeral instructions and wishes.
Yeah, that one is probably something that people think about, but maybe they don't write down. We know that we want to have this burial, or we bought a plot at this cemetery. It's just important to make sure we're communicating that to someone, even if it's not verbally written down. And I don't know that it's required that you prepay or you pre-plan or you've done a lot of that, but at least have a plan that you've talked to your loved ones about.
Where do you keep all this stuff? Do you have to house it in one place? It would be a good idea.
It's helpful to keep it all in one place, but sometimes you also want to be cautious about dividing and conquering it so that your financial life isn't all in one place. So if someone gets it, it's kind of the chicken and the egg thing. You got to have it all, but do you really want to have it all in one place? It's important. It's also important to share that information with somebody else.
Jill Martin, wealth strategist and estate planning attorney at ANNEX Wealth Management. Thank you.
You're welcome.